Who would you like to play as?
Oh.
Would you like to be the good guys or the evil guys?
Not just bad. Not bad, just evil.
Yeah, no, we've got good and evil.
Good and evil.
Those are the two sides. Good or evil?
Good.
Damn it! Ruining my fun wanting to play as the good guys. I should get to play as the good guys. It's just not Hello everybody, it's the Warhipster here, coming at you with another review video. Now today we're reviewing something incredibly special. It is of course the new Lord of the Rings Battle of Osgiliath box. Here it is. I really need to get better at doing this section of things. There we go, that's nice and comfortable on my neck. Yes, we are reviewing the new Battle of Osgiliath box from Games Workshop that they sent to me early, so a very big thank you to them for sending this through for me to delve into. Now I should warn you all at home, this isn't going to be the usual deep dive review. I am very biased with this box because the Battle of Osgiliath holds a very special place in my heart from when I was but a babe in arms. I'll tell you all about it in this video, but this is going to kind of be a little bit on the this is definitely the best thing ever side of things. So if you're looking for something a little bit more critical, then this probably isn't the place for you. But of course we are going to be looking at the sprues. We're going to be building up the miniatures and we're going to be having a look at everything that goes on inside, just as we normally do with these army set reviews and core box reviews now. That's what we're going to be doing. So if you love Lord of the Rings as much as I do and you're excited for all of the Battle of Osgiliath content that's going to be coming to the channel, we should have battle reports, we should have painting content and all that good stuff, then you should like this video and you should subscribe to the channel, because that's a great way to support me and it keeps you up to date with all things Warhipster and all things Middle-earth strategy battle games, all things Lord of the Rings, Warhammer, that's how I know it. It's not the correct name. So sit back, relax and enjoy this video because I really loved making this one. Spoiler alert, it's not all painted. I'm like 12 miniatures away from being done. I'm sorry. Whilst I started this hobby many years ago, 26 years ago, God, I first started with 40k, but it didn't really become a proper passion until the Lord of the Rings Warhammer or Middle-earth strategy battle games became a thing. And specifically, it was the Battle of Osgiliath. I don't know what it was, but it was just the thing that my brother and I used to play all the time on the carpet at home when we were kids. I was sort of 16, he was 15 years old. We had our own custom homebrew rules, and we had a dimmer switch in the living room, so what we would do is we would simulate the ambush by kind of turning the dimmer switch up every turn to represent the sun rising, and then we would have our own rules in terms of how the bows could hit, because we had an absolutely enormous collection of both good and evil miniatures, and we just wanted to use all of it, and we wanted to play one of the easiest things to do when all you have is small ruins. I mean, we wanted to do Helm's Deep and the Battle of Pelennor Fields, but we just didn't have the terrain to pull it off. We had some of the really old Lord of the Rings ruins, and we had some scratch-built polystyrene ones that we'd made as children, but you know, we didn't have like the big fortresses or the causeway of Helm's Deep or the Deeping Wall, and that's what we really wanted to do, but we couldn't, so we used to play our own version of the Battle of Osgiliath, and we did that every day for one summer, I believe. We just kept doing rematches over and over and over again, adding more rules and more things to do, and it was just one of the best Warhammer times in my life. So with this box arriving, and this box being the thing that leads the way in terms of getting people into Lord of the Rings, I was immediately transported back to being 16 again, 2006, and having nothing to do on those long summer days, and I just adore it. So I was very excited to be able to share this with my partner Alice, who I'm going to be playing a bunch of these games with, all 4 of the scenarios, hopefully, if I get all of the miniatures done. But I just wanted to explain a little bit about why this box is so important to me and why I'm just so biased towards it. Because I genuinely think this is incredible, and it really has helped me find my hobby mojo. I didn't realise I'd lost it until I was painting this, and I just have really enjoyed this as an experience. I think it was fantastic, and it's reminded me what Warhammer is all about. It's about having those moments with your friends, with your family, where you just get to recreate cool stuff on the tabletop and play out your favourite battles with your favourite miniatures, have a laugh, and have a great time. So, with that out of the way, I think we should look inside the box. So here we have it then, the Lord of the Rings, Battle of Osgiliath. This is a hefty box. It's also just kind of something just to point out. It's really hefty cardboard. It's like very premium cardboard. You know, we don't get this often from like the army sets and stuff, or even things like those campaign boxes, but this is one of those proper high quality boxes. You can tell by knocking on it. It's very cool. So let's open it up. Oh, and here we have it. So we've got a bunch of sprues in here, and we are going to be going through everything that's in here, but we're not going to be going through in too much detail on quite a lot of the older kits, because some of this, as you know, is going to be things like the 12 Minas Tirith warriors, the 12 rangers. We have 24 Morannon Orcs, I want to say, 3, 6, 9, 12. Yep, 2 sprues of that. It's the exact same sprue again. We have a Mordor troll with a base attached. We have a Mordor troll here who does have an assortment of weapons, which we can get into later. But again, this is a very old classic kit, this one. We have the new stuff here. So here we have Gothmog, as well as Gothmog on his War, or Warg, not War. This isn't 40k. We have the 3 new characters from the Gondorian side. This is Faramir, Damrod, and Madril as well, all on one sprue, which is really cool. So we get our boxes of bases, or bags of bases, designed or divided quite nicely. So this is for the troops here. This was for the 40mm for Gothmog on his Warg, and then we have our character bases here. So we've got the 1, 2, 3 from the characters, and we get an extra one for Gothmog in there, and as it looks, we've got 5 in there, so that might be a mispack, but that's nice. We then, of course, oh, I should say, we also have this. I think that's a 60mm base for the Mordor troll. We then have the other new thing that's in here. We have the Osgiliath ruins sprues. Here we are. So you get 4 sprues, and 2 of them are identical. So as you can see, these 2 are the same, and these 2 are the same. Let's just extricate them. They're very weighty, heavy boys. We have our instructions. Here we are, traditional Lord of the Rings instructions. We have our dice, everything you need to play. We get a large artwork insert, as we so often do, and on the back of the large artwork insert we get a map of Middle-earth, which is just lovely. Isn't that nice? Oh man, I love it. Additionally, in here we get a little booklet, which is the Battle of Osgiliath. So within here you get scenarios and your profiles for your units and your models. You also get a set of tokens. So these are for kind of denoting things like, as you can see on here, the cavalry charges, failed courage tests, heroic combat, heroic strike, heroic move, all these kinds of things. And within that you get a really nice gameplay summary on the back of the booklet, which is just, it's lovely. These kinds of reference sheets really put you in mind of a 7th edition Warhammer 40,000, or even the older, the old world. So yes, we get that in there. And of course, we get the new rules manual. Now within here, as far as I know, there's not too many things that have changed. So for those of you who are veterans of the Middle-earth, this is really just a collection of all the kind of printed FAQs and the updates to the rules and stuff all in one nice place. But, you know, there might be different changes in there. I will take a look in there and see if I could spot anything, but I am not a trained Middle-earth player, or at least I haven't been for a very long time. Now, I have been in this box once before, as you can tell, because we had these flaps, and that's where the bases and things were stored. But that is everything that you get in the Battle of Osgiliath box. And not only that, in this tray of wonders, this book is going to fall over. In the tray of wonders, you get a really lovely back of the box, which gives you everything in there, with 53 stunningly detailed plastic Citadel miniatures, as well as the rules you will need to play your first games. You get your 224 page rules manual, a 16 page scenario and profiles booklet, 12 six-sided dice, there's a range ruler in here, and there's the Gondorian terrain. This is the Osgiliath ruins. As we've already been through all of the list of the forces of good and evil, I do just want to point out that on the side here, you get this lovely script, one ring to rule them all, etc, etc, etc. This is a really fun experience. So, now that we've had a look at everything in there, it's time to start getting on with building stuff. So we are going to go through this kit by kit as per usual, but we're not going to dwell too much, as mentioned, on the older stuff, because, well, it's pretty old by this point. So, taking a look then at the models, we have the Battle of Osgiliath construction booklet here, and we're going to open it up and we're going to have a quick look through it, because, well, it tells you to start with the characters, as makes sense. As you can see, Madril takes up one line, Faramir, one line, Damrod, one line, Gothmog on foot, one line. And then we've got a little bit more complexity here with Gothmog on his warg. Here we go. So a couple of lines there. We then have our Mordor troll on our 1-2, so on our second page of instructions. And then we just go straight into building Morannon Orcs and the Warriors of Minas Tirith and Rangers of Gondor, because it doesn't need instructions, as you will see in just a moment. Those of you who have seen these kits before, bear with. We then also have the most space in this is committed to building the ruins. Now we have Gondor Ruin A here. We have Gondor Ruin B here. We have Gondor Ruin C, which looks somewhat like that. And finally, we have Gondor Ruin D, which looks like this. Now I'm probably going to build these exactly as they are in the box in terms of the ruins, but this is an incredibly modular kit, because as you can see, we've got 4 different designs here out of the same 2 kits, which is very, very interesting. It's the same 2 sprues, but within each of those sprues is the ability to build 2 ruins, which is just really, really good value for money. It's excellent. It's really, really cool, and I love how modular this stuff is. I love how many components there are to these, because it really does evoke something within me. Teenage Josh is exceptionally happy right now. Now the place we are going to start is with the Morannon Orcs and the Warriors of Minas Tirith, because that's the easiest place to start, as well as the Rangers of Gondor, I should say. So if we just grab all 4 of those sprues. Now, as mentioned, the Morannon Orcs, you get 2 sprues, and it's exactly the same. There's no variation here. Now we'll actually start with the Morannon Orcs. So, when you look at them, the first thing you might notice is that pretty much all of them are single miniatures. You literally just clip them out, put a bit of glue on the thing, and attach them to the base. In this instance, we have extra shields, so anything that's not carrying a shield already gets a shield. Can have a shield, although it is optional, as you can see. For example, there, not holding a shield. Shields are kind of smooth, so you can glue them on if you want to, or you could just leave them off. In fact, the instructions here recommend that you do not attach the separate shields to your Morannon Orcs when playing through the scenarios contained in the Battle of Osgiliath. So, if you're going to be intending to play whatever's in this box, then you won't even need to glue on the shields. However, they don't have like a little peg or anything, so it is just a case of find a bare arm like that one and attach it however you like. Similarly here we have the Rangers of Gondor, and we have, well, they're all pretty much, excluding one, single piece miniatures. So again, very, very easy to get these guys up on built and ready to play with. And well, all they will require is a priming and painting, which we will be doing. But you know, this is one of my favorite things about Lord of the Rings, is that the build times are almost nothing. So yes, all we have here is a single spear that needs to be attached. Now you do just need to be a little bit careful when you clip this off. It's quite old plastic, so you never know where the fragilities are going to be within it. So do just make sure you're very careful when you're clipping them off, and also just be quite gentle when you're clipping off. And this goes the same for the Morannon Orcs and the Mordor Troll. The newer stuff, I don't know how well you'll be able to tell this, but on the camera. But if you look, for example, this is a brand new sprue. It doesn't feel as bendy. It's got a lot more rigidity to it. So these things can be a little bit soft. So when you're mold line removing, if you need to remove any of the mold lines, so for example, just there along that cape, you don't want to press down as hard as you might typically would when you're doing something like the new stuff, because this is much more resilient plastic than this. It's just softer for some reason. It's very bendy. You can see how much flex there is in that. You just have to take my word that I'm not trying to bend this too hard. But yes, there we go. That's our Rangers of Gondor. Only the single spear that needs attaching, and because it's got a peg, it could just be push fit. That's the thing. These are all slotted bases as well, excluding the characters who are not on slotted bases. You can just slot these in. No glue is required if you really don't have any or want to. Lastly, we have our Warriors of Minas Tirith. Here they are, the iconic fellows themselves. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them are all kind of single fit miniatures. You just clip them off and they're ready to go on the bases. For the spearmen though, these 4 down here, you do have to attach the spears. Now, generally when you're building something like this in Lord of the Rings, the one that has the spear next to it, so in this instance, these 2 go together. These 2 go together, these 2 go together, and these 2 go together. We all just need to be a little bit careful again, clipping on this one, because it's that old plastic again, so it might be a little bit bendy when you clip, so just be very gentle. The other thing to bear in mind is on this gentleman with his sword, it's a very, very tough to get into clipping point. So when you're clipping off down here on the base, you just want to kind of clip it there, and then you can just easily take it off rather than trying to negotiate your clippers into that space just there. So with all that in mind, what we're going to do is quickly look at the Morannon Orcs, because we haven't done that, and that's not fair. We've got 2 spears that need to be attached, and again, this one goes here and this one goes here. So whichever's closest is usually the case. Otherwise, yeah, that's same as the rest of it. Not particularly hard to assemble. 10 out of 12 ain't bad. Well, in this case, 20 out of 24 with 0 assembly required, other than clipping them off and attaching them to the slotted base. So, with that in mind, what we're going to do is we're going to build up all of this stuff. We're going to do it on the time lapse as we usually do, and well, we're just going to jump in and start doing it. So, hold on to your hats. So with all 48 of our troops built, we now are moving on to the Mordor Troll, another of the old kits within this set. Now, on the instructions page, it is literally just this little footnote. Yes, just this little square here. And as you can see, there's a bunch of different options. You have a hammer, a sword, a club, a spear. You have the option to give him a war drum. You've got just a kind of got a bare head, but you can also put the helmet on as well. You've got 2 different heads here as well, by the looks of things. Yes, no, 3 different heads. You also have the option for a shield, and well, you're building up this guy here. We have a little note here at the bottom that says, if you are planning on playing through the scenarios contained in the Battle of Osgiliath Scenarios and Profiles booklet, we recommend building your Mordor Troll with a hammer. Of course, you can build it however you wish if you do not plan on playing through the scenarios, which is again very, very cool, very, very nice. I like it very much, but very, very simple bit of instructions there. Now, we do just have this one sprue, and as mentioned, this is again that very soft old plastic. Doesn't even have that nice satisfying slash kind of anxiety inducing snap when you snap the sprues in half. You get 2 sprues here, and they're 2 kind of standard half sprue sizes, as well as a loose hair. That doesn't come included in the kit, that's just me going bald. So as you can see here, we have all of our little components, except they're not that little, they're quite big for Lord of the Rings. It's nice and simple. We have 2 bits for the body. There's our choice of heads. So this one, there's a bit of assembly required. And this one, there is none. That one's your bare head. And you can put the helmet on him instead if you wanted to. That's really cool. The spear, this looks really nice. We've got the war drum options here. We don't actually get the instructions on how to build the war drum, but I'm sure it would become apparent as you build it, because we've got these little plugs here, which means they go in here instead, so you wouldn't put the chest plate on as well, you would just put the war drum on. But yes, this is the only instructions we get here is to build the combat version, not the war drum version. Now, because it's old plastic, you are going to probably run into a fair amount of mold lines. For example, here along the spear, you've got definitely a pretty chunky mold line there along the arm, and there's almost certainly going to be one on the body. Yep, you can see it just about. However, they are just these large body sections that go together, which is really cool and very, very, very simple to put together. Does mean you're probably going to need to put glue all the way along just to avoid any gaps that you don't want on your Mordor Troll, but otherwise, yeah, the same kind of problems slash awesomeness will always apply with such an old kit. We have no numbers on any of the components, so you will have to do this by sight, but then that's not the hardest thing to do when you've got so few components. So we're just going to jump in and we're going to start building it. Here we go. So with the troll all built, it is now time to work on our characters. Now, as you can see, for the good side, we have Madril, Faramir and Damrod, and they are not particularly intensive instructions. For Madril, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pieces, plus a 25mm non-slotted base. Now, we're not going to be able to press any of these bits together. They are going to have to be glued. But similarly for Faramir, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8. 7 pieces, depends on what you want to put them on, either on a bit of wood as have him in Ithilien, or on a bit of ruin to have him leaping over in Osgiliath itself. Damrod, again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces here. So Damrod is the most complicated of the 3. Very, very simple. So as we've already discussed, all 3 of these characters come on a single sprue, and here it is. So looking at the sprue, these are the brand new kits, as mentioned before. We have all 3 of our characters are on here. We've got some very highly detailed little pieces. And for example, there's one of the faces that I believe is Damrod there is Madril, and I think that's Faramir there. I'm pretty certain, yes, component 15. These are very cool. We do have some mold lines here. Now you do always have to be a little bit careful when you're doing Lord of the Rings stuff because it is so much smaller. So using the back of a blade, like for example this one, might actually prove to be a little bit easier to do stuff. For example, on this arm, got a little mold line that's coming along here. You can just use the back of the blade to just scrape that off. Obviously you do this when you get the component off the sprue itself, rather than doing it on the sprue, as it's the easiest way to go mad doing that. But there's not really too much here that's too difficult to clip out. It's been really nicely assembled on the sprue. The sort of terrain bits have got most of their connection points on the bottom of the components. There we go, there's our bit of ruin, and there's our tree for Faramir. The sort of connection points on like the cloaks, for example, they're all on kind of these outside areas. They're not overlapping on the flats of the cloaks, which is really cool. So there, you just want to be a little bit careful on that underside there, but otherwise it's a pretty nicely laid out sprue. You do want to be careful as well when you're clipping out things like these arms, because they can be a little bit brittle at times. So you just want to start here rather than start by clipping off there. The heads have been attached by the bottom of the heads, which is really good, rather than being on the hair, which is sometimes what you see with these things, which then makes it a little bit of a nightmare to try and clip them off and get them nice and smooth. The only other thing to be aware of is on this bow and on this sword, we have our connection points on the actual weapons themselves. So when you're smoothing those down to get the flash off, you do just want to be very careful that you don't take a chunk out of the sword or out of the bow, which is why using the back of that knife might be beneficial for you. But otherwise, very, very cool little sprue. 3 characters in one, really like it. So we're going to jump in and we're going to start building it. So with all of our Gondorians now built, we just have one last character left to do, and that is Gothmog, the Lieutenant of Sauron, on foot and mounted. Now obviously you can't use them both at the same time, that would be silly. Gothmog on foot is just as fine on his own, but if you're taking the mounted version and you lose the warg, then Gothmog gets off. So there we go. Clearing up the confusion for everybody. And again, this is a very simple set of instructions. We have here just that one single line for Gothmog on foot, and we have Gothmog on the warg here. So this is one line of it, and then we have the second line just there with the kind of optional shield and club or sword that you can put on. And there you go, this gives you the example of things that it can look like. It's very cool. It does recommend not attaching the separate shield to Gothmog when playing through the scenarios contained in the Battle of Osgiliath. Of course, you can add it if you wish, or once you've played through the scenarios, add it to your model later. It's a really nice little bit of kind of designer's commentary that's going on throughout this booklet. It's really cool, really like it. But yes, very uncomplicated, as it has been so far with all of our Lord of the Rings miniatures here in this box set. So, popping those instructions to one side, what you will require for Gothmog is the 40mm base that is included. This is for the warg version, and one of your 25mm unslotted bases. We do have a spare now, because we got those 5 in the box. Not sure why. Here is the sprue. And again, it's made out of that much newer plastic, just like with the Captains of Gondor, the characters of Gondor, and the Osgiliath terrain. So it's nice and sturdy, and it's super high quality, as we've come to expect from our Games Workshop products. And there is a ton of detail on here, as you can see. But it is only one of these kind of sort of quarter-sized sprues, so there's not loads and loads of components. You do get 2 shields here, and one is very specifically for him on his back, and one is for the one that is situated on the warg. I can't quite figure out which one is which. I think this one, yes, number 9. This one is for him on foot, and this one is for him on the warg. You can tell the difference here because you've got a circular bit on the inside and a square bit on the inside, so you don't want to get those mixed up because you can't get a circle bit on a square, but you can get a square on a circle bit. Anyway, otherwise, this is again quite a nicely laid out sprue. We do have some slightly difficult to clip off areas just here around the fur on the warg. There's that little kind of hair just there, as you can see. If I just grab an implement just here, you see that's connected to just one little bit of hair. So you want to be careful when you're clipping that out so you don't bend this all out of kind of alignment, or indeed snap it off or clip it off altogether. We do have a slightly frustrating clipping point just here on the leg of Gothmog. That's going to be a bit of a bugger to try and smooth off, but otherwise it's pretty neatly laid out. The face of the warg is in two parts, so we are going to get a line going down across the warg's face. However, it is around the nostril, so that's not too bad. So you are just going to make sure that you cover that whole section in glue when you're putting them together to make sure that you don't have too much of a seam there when it comes to painting. We've got some tiny little details around here, for example on the arms, they're quite small, and well, this little section here, which I believe is his face. But otherwise, yeah, I'm pretty happy with this sprue. I think it's pretty cool. It's going to be interesting to see how it all goes together as per usual. So we're going to jump in and we're going to start building this model, or at least these two models. So with our models all built, it is now time to look at the buildings. Now, as we've already had a quick look at them, you do have the potential from the 4 sprues that you have, which is 2 sets of 2 sprues, to build 4 buildings. So each set of 2 should build 2 buildings, and we get 4 different styles of buildings. So we get this one here, we get this one here as well, and we get this one here, and finally we get this one here. Now they both come over on sort of 2 set pages of instructions. So you see 1, 2, and then 1, 2, and then 1, 2. But this just goes to show that the extreme modular nature of the terrain. It's very, very cool. You could build one massive building, one assumes, with all of these, or you could just build 4 little buildings, or in fact we could probably get a few more tiny little buildings if we take, for example, this little section here, and we add sort of that little section and this kind of little section here, and like that sort of bit there. There's a lot that we can be doing here with the Osgiliath ruins. It's really exciting. Now, all of the pieces should be fairly kind of, as mentioned, quite modular. So rather than looking too much at the instructions, we are going to be building one of these buildings, probably this first one here on camera. But rather than looking at that, let's have a good look at the sprues, because these are some really cool sprues. Now, as mentioned, you get one of these sprues, you get another one of these sprues, like that. You can see that they're exactly the same. You get one of these sprues, and you get one of these sprues, like that. You get lots of really cool little detailing bits, these kind of little crenellations and bits of artistry and fallen masonry and all that kind of stuff, and you get the kind of broken out floors and all that sort of stuff. It's really, really, really cool. So we only need to look at one of each of these because these are identical sprues. So we're going to look at this one and this one. There we have it. So the majority of our sort of doors and things, well, no, not the majority of our doors. The only intact door that we get on each sprue is on this one, so we'll take a quick look here. We also get some intact flooring here, 1, 2, and 3 bits, and then we get 2 kind of broken halves of the floor. You can put these together by having them clip, as you can see, just around here. This little kind of indent here, as well as a little clip on that side. So they kind of, all of this sort of stuff should just kind of slot together quite nicely, rather than you kind of having to kind of judge it by eye that you sometimes get with kits like this. They do just kind of slot perfectly together, and you get the same clipping on either side, but you don't get any clipping on the broken sections, which is obviously very, very nice. We've got this nice little piece here, this little broken tiling, which you can use again to just make those floors look even cooler, which is really, really awesome. The wall sections are quite nice and chunky, and again they have this kind of clipping mechanism that you can then cover up using these kind of smaller tiled pieces. So if we're looking at the instructions, we're looking for kind of piece A21, or indeed A17, A11, A10, A17, there we go. So you see you've got this kind of smaller kind of stonework that goes over the top of your clips. So when you slot your model kind of wall sections together, you then cover it up with these bits, which is just really, really, really intelligent. I love it. I think it's really nicely laid out. Otherwise, the majority of the sprue is laid out in a 2D fashion. So actually cleaning these things is really easy to do. You're just going to have to go around the outside of each piece. So you don't have to kind of hunt for any of those kind of clip marks or sprue marks, or even any mold lines that you might have. And as you can tell, judging by these pieces, they're fairly innocuously modular. It's the only real way to say it. You have these window sections. You've got this kind of solid wall. You've got solid floors, 1, 2, 3 of them per sprue, and you've got a lot of broken floors as well, in order to do some really cool stuff with double-story buildings. Looking at the other sprue then, we get some tiny little corner bits of flooring, so you can do that for your slightly smaller ruins, or indeed just fill out the floor along a side of a big wall, for example. Man, this is such a cool sprue. Again, if you look at the back of these sections, you see how they've got these kind of, they look kind of a little bit clunky, but these are the things that you're using to slot in to cover up the clipping of your clipping mechanisms of your walls and things, which is just really nice, because if we then flip it over, you can see you've got flat walls and nice bits of masonry and all that kind of thing. There's lots and lots of details here. There's lots and lots of cool kind of broken bits with which to make your buildings look sufficiently destroyed, or indeed weathered. There's lots of opportunities here for these. It's exciting, it's awesome, and what we're going to do is we're going to build one of these buildings. So we'll be right back. Behold the Battle of Osgiliath in all of its built and primed glory. Yes. There is a truly phenomenal amount of plastic in here, and you just get this really awesome dynamic looking battle, even just at this stage. Building it was fun. Priming it was okay. But the painting, that should be super fun. So we're going to be painting all of this in various different videos, so you're not going to see how to paint all of this stuff in this video, because otherwise it would be 6 hours long. However, just look at it. What a fantastic set. So we'll be right back, hopefully with a showcase of some painted models. So here we are then. We have finished all 4 of the Osgiliath ruins. all 4 sizes. They look fantastic. Seen here mid-battle, of course. We have finished off all 12 of the Minas Tirith warriors. 4 with spears, 4 with bows, and 4 with swords and shields. We've also finished off all 12 of the Rangers of Gondor / Ithilien / the Realms of Men. 4 with spears, 4 with bows, and 4 with swords. So, you know. We've also finished off Faramir, Damrod, and Madril, the 3 new characters from the set. They look absolutely fantastic, breathtaking models, full of character, and I cannot get enough of these guys. We've also finished off all 12 of 24 Mordor orcs. I'm sorry, the next 12 have been started, but not quite finished. So what can you look forward to in the future? Well, you can look forward to a tutorial on how to paint the Osgiliath terrain. You can also look forward to a tutorial on how to paint the entire good half. That's Faramir, Madril, Damrod, the Warriors and Rangers of Gondor. And a tutorial on how to paint Gothmog, the Mordor Troll and the Morannon Orcs. All in one video, just like we did with the battle hosts for Isengard and Rohan. Because I feel like that's a really good format. I think I said that in those videos. I need to get some new catchphrases. We're also going to be hopefully playing through all 4 of the scenarios in the Battle of Osgiliath book because they're really cool. They're just really nicely laid out and they've got really simple, easy victory conditions that tell a story that I love so much. So we're hopefully going to be doing all of that as well between me and Alice. And I will probably play as the evil side. I don't want to. But yes, how would I rate this box? Oh, it's a 10 out of 10. I told you. I can't help it. There's too much to love about it for me. So yeah, it's a biased 10 out of 10 for me because I adore this. I think the rule set's very good. I think the game has always been fantastic to play and it still continues to be the best game that Games Workshop has made. And the model range is fantastic and I just can't get enough. I love it. You should too. I promise. And you will, if you love Lord of the Rings. If you don't like Lord of the Rings, you might not really like it. But you should. Come on, man. So yeah, a biased 10 out of 10. Can't help it. Terribly sorry, but, you know, we all have to live with it. So make sure you're subscribed, make sure you like this video, and make sure you look forward to seeing all the Battle of Osgiliath content we've got coming out on the channel. All those painting videos and all of those battle reports as well. They should be out very, very soon. This week is Lord of the Rings week. I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Thank you for watching, and happy wargaming. If you enjoyed this video, you love the channel, and you want to support me further like these legends and bosses on the screen before you, you can do so. Head to patreon.com/warhipster or head to ko-fi.com/warhipster. Alternatively, you could become a YouTube member by heading to the channel page and clicking on the join button just here, just like these amazing, wonderful people have done. And if you really like this video or you just want to shoot me some support, you can click on the thanks button just below this video. Don't forget to share it, like it, comment on it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And to make sure you stay up to date, don't forget to click the bell icon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Happy wargaming.